What just happened on live television has the entire nation talking. Ivanka Trump, the picture of calm, grace, and composure, snapped in front of millions. And it wasn't just a meltdown, it was the moment everything changed. Because Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett, sharp, fearless, and unshaken, did the one thing no one has ever dared to do. She said the one name that's been completely off limits in American politics: Barron Trump.
United States has committed. But when we start talking about things that look like evidence, they want to act like they blind. They don't know what this is. These are our national secrets.
The moment that name left her lips, the room changed. You could feel it. The reporters froze, the camera operators hesitated, and Ivanka's face went from confident to ashen white. Then it happened. Her hand slammed on the desk, a thunderclap echoing through the chamber. And what came next, no one saw coming. Jasmine didn't shout, she didn't flinch, she simply held her ground. "I'm not here to play family games," she said softly. "I'm here to tell the truth." And then she pulled out a folder, thick, tabbed, and stamped confidential. Inside, she said, are records of financial transfers involving multiple Trump entities and one curious name. The camera zoomed in. Front-page headlines were born in that moment. Across the top page, right between two wiring statements, sat the words, "Barron's account must stay separate until further notice." That single line set off a political earthquake. Ivanka's voice cracked as she stood up, face flushed red. "How dare you bring my brother into this? He's a child," she shouted. But Jasmine didn't blink. Calm as ever, she leaned forward into her mic. "Then why," she asked, "is his name on your family's internal transfers?" The crowd gasped. Somewhere in the back, a journalist dropped his pen. And just like that, Washington wasn't watching a debate anymore. They were witnessing a live implosion. Within minutes, Twitter, no, the entire internet was on fire. Hashtag Barron Bombshell. Hashtag Ivanka Unhinged. Hashtag Crockett Receipts. Jasmine Crockett became the most searched name on Google within the hour. News outlets scrambled for screenshots, replays, transcripts. But that was only the beginning. Because just a few hours later, an anonymous account appeared online, @TrumpFamLeakFiles. Its first post? A blurred spreadsheet and an audio clip of a woman who sounded just like Ivanka. In the muffled audio, a single line sent chills down everyone's spine. "Dad can't be tied to this. Barron's name makes it safe for now." The clip went viral instantly. If that tape was real, it meant Ivanka was using her younger brother's name to protect family money. If fake, it was one of the cruelest political hoaxes in years. But either way, the narrative had already escaped her control. Anchors called it the most explosive moment of the decade. Analysts debated, commentators speculated, and then another theory began to take shape, one so shocking it split the country in half. Some believed the leaks didn't come from Crockett. They came from inside the Trump family. At first, whispers pointed toward Jared Kushner, then Don Jr., then Eric. But one thread on Reddit suggested something darker, that Melania Trump herself, Barron's own mother, had quietly leaked the files to protect her son. If that was true, it meant Melania wasn't just shielding Barron, she was turning against Ivanka and Donald. Some called it betrayal. Others called it justice. And when reporters asked Jasmine Crockett about it, her answer was subtle but cutting. Mothers don't stay silent when their children are used. She didn't name Melania. She didn't need to. Days later, a new file surfaced online. It was labeled simply, "For Barron." Inside was an alleged memo, supposedly written by Ivanka herself, instructing staff to shift assets into Barron's name temporarily. He's untouchable. We'll move them back once the heat dies down. That was the moment the internet flipped. Hashtag Protect Barron became hashtag Ivanka used him. TikTok was flooded with edits, Ivanka's furious outburst cut together with that one damning line, not protection, exploitation. Cable news replayed the meltdown on loop. Talk shows called it the unraveling of America's most powerful family. Political insiders whispered that a rift had formed between Ivanka and Melania. And through it all, Jasmine Crockett said nothing. She didn't gloat, she didn't post. She simply smiled when asked for comment. Sometimes, she said, the truth comes from the people you least expect. Those words, calm, deliberate, reignited the entire story again. Because now, this wasn't just about politics. It was about family. It was about loyalty. And it was about betrayal. Did Ivanka really use Barron's name to shield Trump money? Did Melania really leak the files to protect her son? And if Crockett still has evidence, what happens when she drops the rest? One thing is clear. This wasn't the end. It was the beginning of a political civil war, and it's playing out right in front of the world. And as the cameras cut to Ivanka's frozen smile, Jasmine Crockett's final words echoed through the hall. Power without truth is just fear wearing a crown. The applause that followed wasn't just for her. It was for every person who'd ever been told to stay silent when they knew the truth. This was no longer just about one family. It was about a system cracking open. The dynasty that prided itself on control was losing it, live, frame by frame. And for the first time in a long time, Washington wasn't silent. It was watching. If you think this story is over, you're wrong, because Jasmine Crockett isn't done. If you found this unbelievable, share it before it disappears. Hit like, drop a comment. Whose side are you on? And don't forget to subscribe, because what's coming next makes this look like the calm before the storm.
Let me remind y'all that Melania, the First Lady, a model, and when I say model, I'm not talking about Tyra Banks, Cindy Crawford, or Naomi Campbell level, applied for and was given an EB-1 visa.
It was something that I wanted to do. I think part of it is hereditary. I think part of it is that my family, for so many generations, on my mother's side as well as my father.
As I sat and listened to the beginning of this debate, my heart simply broke. And many people know me for being able to do alliterations, and all I could think about was amnesia allows adolescent accountability avoidance agility from across the aisle. So work with me for a second. Imagine being a young man born to Jamaican and Panamanian parents who messed up not once but twice. Imagine standing in front of a judge with your whole future hanging in the balance, and instead of prison, you are given a promise of mercy. Your record gets wiped clean. You get a second chance at life. Now imagine taking that promise and turning it into promotion. You go to college, you get a job, and even become a member of Congress.